Yeah, let's dive in. Let's talk about the fast because I want to cover poker.
Right.
There's so much to talk about our history and all that. We'll go run through that, but I do want to get Bill on and the nurse Nina who helped a lot. And so there, I want to cue them in and maybe you could give a little background on what you just did. I'll show some pictures. We'll kind of run through what happened, but you did a 14-day fast, and if you could explain on that, how that came up, what it is, why you did it, and if what you just give me the whole deal on that. It's very fascinating.
Yeah. So it's something that I've always wanted to do. I saw that Tony G did it a few years ago. And, I started looking into like how therapeutic it was and all the different health benefits. And then, I wanted to do something that super mentally challenging too, because like, I felt like I was getting complacent in a lot of areas of my life, and I'm extreme. So I'm like, this is like the perfect thing to get back on the right track and get my mind sharp and disciplined again. And, yeah, so we're playing poker, and somehow this bet gets brought up, and people are throwing numbers around at the table. And then somehow Perkins wasn't even playing with us that night, but it got back to him, and he like said like a really large amount that I was like, oh, I don't even know if I want that much, because I don't know if for sure I can do it. I think I can. I mean, if for me, it's just like, hey, if Tony G, no disrespect to him, or like whoever has done it, then I can do it. Like, I'm not going to die. Yeah. So Perkins gave me, he's like, you have 48 hours or no. I was like, I have 48 hours to decide if I want to take this bet. He's like, sure, but the bet's cut in half. And I was like, all right, booked, fine, fuck it. Like, but I should have been more. After I booked it, I'm like, fuck, that ain't fair to Amanda. I mean, she's fucking 9.5 months pregnant, about to pop, and I'm accepting, this kind of bet that, we thought could potentially like, I wouldn't have energy, or, I'd be in bad moods, like hangry or whatever. But no, it was pretty smooth. It worked out well. But yeah, that's how it came about. We're playing poker. I've always wanted to do it. And then the money, the bet just put me over the edge into doing it. But like, I'm giving a good amount of the winnings to different charities. I already donated Tykes Need Bikes. I'm sorry, actually, I'm meeting with the guy today to give him a check. But Tykes Need Bikes is one of the charities that Dr. Nadir Ali, he's the one that oversaw the entire fast. That's like, a charity close to his heart. So I pledged in behalf of him for all his support and help. And then the rest can go through, some programs in Philadelphia with, for nutrition and, some kind of financial literacy for the inner city. And then, a few different friends who have charities and stuff. So yeah, that's the plan. So yeah, so it wasn't like,
I want to add, there's so many things and questions that understand, like, had you done, I know, so Bobby, obviously, I know he was big on fasting. He was the one kind of initially, I saw this book when we were playing in games there, and he was really talking about that. And I've heard Bill talk about a lot, like 1 day, 2 day, 3 day fast. What have you done before in fasting? Because like, this is a pretty big extreme, but like, have you done some of these 2 day or 3 day ones?
Yeah. So, I did my longest one I wanted to do. I think I was going for 7 days, and I was 4.5 days in, but I was working out during this. So like 2 workouts a day, and just trying to lose as much body fat as I could. And this is right when I started the body fat percentage bet with Perkins. And then I went to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, and I got so dizzy and I passed out and hit my head. So I broke the fast then, and I'm like, I wasn't monitoring my glucose. I wasn't monitoring my ketones. I just, was going to do a 7-day fast or a 6 day fast and just wing it. But, after researching more, like, you can't be working out. Like, you could do light workouts, but you can't get heart rate up too high. But yeah, so,
okay, so you have a little bit of experience with it, and how does it differ? I see here you did send some notes, which we'll talk, and we'll have Nina on pretty soon here to chat with us. But you like, how did this? Let's just say the 4 day one you did. How was it? Is it the same? Was it the same feeling the first few days that you had the last time, or is it different, the experience?
Going into the one where I did the 4.5 and passed out, I was intermittent fasting leading up to that for months. So my body got into ketosis a lot quicker. And it wasn't hard like that. Like I said, I was working out twice a day. It was smooth until I passed out. But this time I punted. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not about to eat for 14 days. Like I'm eating whatever the fuck I want. And Dr. Nadir Ali was very clear to me, like, yo, you want to be in like you want to be in ketosis, like you want a ketone diet, a keto diet, and low carbs, because you're gonna go through withdrawal. I quit coffee a month prior because I didn't want to go through the caffeine withdrawal, but then I still punted because I was drinking Coca-Colas days leading up to it. So I paid for it on day one. Day one was probably the hardest, honestly. Day 1 or 14, I don't know. But the day ones before were never hard. I actually played poker on day 1, and I had to quit because my headache was so fucking bad. And I was already considering buying out, but then I'm like, fuck, like, I already set, like, I just feel like a little, like, kind of, I feel like just like weak, like, just like,
how when you go to sleep though, like on the first, so literally on day 8, 9, 10, 11, it's like no problem. You go to bed, you're like not starving. You're literally just like whatever. Or is it like are you waking up, or where's the hardest part of the day is during this middle chunk?
So I would say the hardest part is when you smell, see, or you think about food. Almost all of my dreams throughout were food. So I was dreaming about food. It was pretty crazy. They were like vivid dreams of me eating all kinds of food. But yeah, so like days that I had to, get dinner ready for the kids or whatever, like smelling it, that was tough. That was really hard. And my sleep sucked. And I knew that going into it from Dr. Nadir Ali. He kind of told me that I'd probably only get between 3 to 5 hours a night. And it wasn't because I woke up hungry or anything. It just, from my understanding is like my body was in like fight or flight, like, full ketosis, like survival mode. And so it's like, you're not going to sleep.
Right. But was there any point where you actually were concerned, like for your health? Like, were you like, man, like this is, because these are the type of things, what would worry me is there's not a ton of data most likely on this. And I'm sure the doctor or nurse will talk more about this, because like not many people have done it. Like for me personally, like I'd be worried because I feel like if you're like heavier or bigger person, maybe it's a little easier just because like you have more stuff stored. But if you're skinny, like it's probably not for everyone, right? It's not anyone can go and do a 14-day fast. You got to be careful and you got to prepare and do the right thing. So were you actually like, wow, I hope this, like, if I'm worried about my long-term health or damages?
Well, I wasn't until about day 3 or day 4. We'll have to ask Perkins about it. But we were thinking that my glucose and my ketones would keep on moving in a linear way, that at some point we were estimating if it keeps going at this rate, by days 9 or 10, I'm probably gonna be in some trouble, because Dr. Nadir Ali did set some perimeters that like he's pulling the plug. So which
day was this?
Let's look at day 3 or 4. Perkins. Let me see, day 3. Okay, where did my okay. So yeah, see day 3, 4, day 5, where my ketones went 0.6 to 1.6 to 3.0. So we're thinking like, we're talking like, I was misunderstood about it, and so is Bill, about ketoacidosis, which is a dangerous. Bill can talk more about it. It's extremely dangerous, but it's really, you don't have to worry about if you're a type 1 diabetic. Like my ketones leveled out, my glucose stayed pretty stable the whole way. My blood pressure went perfect. I don't know if it was day 8 or 9, 10, whatever it was. Everything was textbook perfect. All these measurements were done in Dr. Nadir Ali's clinic by Nina. She'll be on in a little bit. And then I would take, measurements throughout the day, once or twice, just to make sure, just to stay on top of it, and report them back to her. I mean, that was another thing that was horrible, is pricking myself, like keep on staying on top of my glucose and my ketones, because you got to prick yourself, and you can, because the ones that you spit and stuff are just not as accurate. But yeah, so when we saw the way my ketones were moving, Bill, mentioned ketoacidosis. I looked into it and I started freaking out. But then my doctor was like, no, don't worry about that. Like, you're not type 1 diabetic. So that was basically it. We just monitored it. We monitored my weight. I did an EKG before and in the middle of it, make sure my heart was responding well. And like, I went way above what you need to go for supervision and just, but I just, safety first, right? Like I have 3 kids and, it's whatever. Like if I don't know,
and Amanda was about to give birth or did give birth during this process. What was that like? What day were you on when that happened? Was it 9 or 10 or something? Or?
I think 8 or 9. Yeah. So that actually, so my thought process on that too was, I'm going to be so amped up on adrenaline from that experience, and like that'll like get me through a day or two too if I'm struggling. And and plus, for the most part, I'm in a hospital room with her, and it's not like I'm going to see or smell food much. But when they bring her food, I would get hungry. But the hospital food is kind of nasty, so that helps. I did some weird shit early on to try and suppress my appetite. It's pretty funny, but I was like, anytime I get really, really hungry, I'm just gonna go in my yard and just smell some dog shit to lose my appetite.
That can't be the right. I mean, that's.
Dude, I did it once, and I'm like, that. What the fuck am I doing? So
yeah, it might just make you vomit. That's against all the nutrients. So, but
yeah. I used to get magnesium. I like here. I have it right here. I use like magnesium lotion. Make sure. And we monitor. I got blood work during it to make sure. I think my potassium and my sodium got a little low, but nothing dangerous. Yeah. And I cut all my supplements, all the medicine I take. I've been on ADHD medicine since friggin' 7th grade, and I didn't take it throughout. I haven't actually. I'm lying. I did. So Bill, on days 12 and 13, we were playing a massive game, and I was like, "Hey, Bill, like, the Vyvanse won't break the fast, and I need it because I can't stay focused, like, and so on day 12 or 13, I took a Vyvanse. Or I'm sorry, days 12 and 13.
And I think Nina did. She just was messaging. I've never actually added in someone. Additionally, I think it's not hard. We'll try to get her on here, and maybe she can talk more about all the technical stuff and sort of the what do you call it? The benefits, but maybe just from your understanding, what are the health benefits and reasons like of doing this, and how much more beneficial is doing a 14-day than say a 5 or 6? What's the difference in doing those, or is there not much other than just weight loss and whatnot?
From my understanding, 5 to 7 days, that sweet therapeutic spot for. It depends. It all really matters how fast you get in ketosis, because once you're in ketosis, it starts using your fat as fuel and starts eliminating some of the bad cells that have accumulated, or, can clear out your colon, whatever. But yeah, I'm sorry, I lost. What were you saying again?
I'm just saying, like, is there someone at home might be thinking, wow, this is interesting, because I know there's like there's cancer prevention, there's a bunch of health benefits, but is there a big difference in doing 5, 6, 7 from your understanding, or 14, or at that point diminishing returns, sort of?
From my understanding, like, other than giving your organs more of a break and recovery and insulin spikes and whatever, from the most important therapeutic beneficials are all within the 5 to 7 day range. That's all you need. But there are, from my understanding, from anywhere from like day 10 to 21, that you could have a bowel movement that is like the ultimate colon cleanse, and gets rid of all the shit that's been building up and whatever. So
I do see Nina here is preparing to. She's in the waiting room. Let me see if we can add her in, and she can drop some knowledge and see if this works seamlessly. Let's see here. So, there she is. Nina, hello.
Hey guys. How are you?
Very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you for joining us. I know Hook, this was a big deal. This was really cool. And he spoke your praises about the whole process and how you helped, and Dr. Ali and the whole thing. So maybe if you could just kind of give us a little bit of background on, what you do and how this was for Hook. And I do have here as well, I don't know if you can see that, but kind of some of the measurements and vitals, I guess, through the process. If you could maybe just talk us through the 14 days in general, like the periods, and what you would recommend for someone who's thinking about doing this at home, how they can get good information and what benefits they have for doing it.
Yeah, excuse me. I'm sorry. Let me say one thing, Nina. I'm sorry. And at the end of it, when Nina's finished, she should mention and add in a link of, she has a program that she coaches people through that anyone in anywhere could sign up. And I think she has people from all over the world that message her and, are on the program. That I'm actually gonna put my mom on her program within the next week or two. So make sure that, her clinic and what she does is, somewhere on the link so people more interested can reach out to her.
Yeah, no, this will be uploaded to YouTube. We'll put it in the show more right at the top, all that stuff. So you have to give me that. And yeah, I think it's super interesting. And can't wait to hear a bit more about this, and we'll definitely get that info up. So go ahead, tell us the whole deal, what you do, who you are, and how this all works.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on. It was really a pleasure. It was a learning experience for us as well to supervise Chalie through the 14-day fast. So it is normally not something that we recommend. Chalie found us and he said he wanted to do a 14-day fast. Certainly a 14-day fast is a pretty drastic thing, and it should not be attempted by anyone without physician supervision. And that's what we do here. Dr. Ali is a local cardiologist, but we also have a nutritional and fasting program here in the office that he supervises, that he participates in. And we teach patients how to get into better health, not through taking medications, but by, following low-carb nutrition and doing intermittent fasting. And we've had great success with it. We have patients getting out of diabetic range, patients' inflammation getting better. Losing weight is just a pleasant side effect of what's happening, because people are getting healthy from inside out. And I
don't want to interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just, this word here just sounds nasty, but also just like feels very like one of the benefits, the big things of losing visceral fat. Can you tell me what that is? And is that one of the things about cancer? Is that one of the main things that they say is a drop in cancer risk after doing like 5 days or 3 days? Can you talk a little about visceral fat and also the cancer, what that does for potential cancer?
Sure. So visceral fat is fat around your midsection. And that is the most dangerous kind of fat that is associated with all kinds of chronic diseases and issues.
It builds up on the organ system down your stomach and liver or whatever else.
That's the hardest to lose. Yeah, I got a little something there.
And that's that's how you get inflammation. Inflammation is surface area for cancer to be, So anyway, I'll let Nina. I'm sorry.
Yes. So, Chalie knows. He could tell us all probably a little bit better than I can by now. He's right. There are risks for all kinds of things, not just cancer, but all kinds of nasty things, heart disease,
psoriasis. My psoriasis cleared up. I've been battling with psoriasis for over 10 years, and it fully went away during the fast.
Yes, absolutely. So inflammation levels go way down when you're doing prolonged fasts. That's for sure. And you feel better. All kinds of things clear up and go away. And actually, the mind is working a lot better, a lot clearer. People think that, I'm not going to be eating, I will not be able to perform. I won't be able to do my work, or I won't be able to work out or anything.
Yeah, Nina,
like
I think I even asked you and Dr. Ali going into it, am I going to be able to drive, or I'm going to have someone drive me to the clinic? Because I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
But
it's the easiest thing to do. Fasting, you don't really have to prepare for it. It's free. You don't have to go out and buy supplies for it, and you can do it as life happens. You don't have to plan it out or anything like that. So and you actually save money because you're not eating.
Yeah. So I think that's a big part of maybe, it's not as mainstream because, how many doctors are actually going to, take a step like Dr. Nadir Ali and add this into his therapeutics and stop, you relying on prescription drugs, right? Like, let's think about that for a second. If you start implementing fasting into your therapeutics as a physician, like now your patients could be healthier, That affects pharmacies, and then also restaurants. I mean, look how what's built, the infrastructure built around food. It's everywhere in our lives. So people start getting a better feel about fasting and understanding it, and the therapeutics behind it. It's going to disrupt, businesses in different ways.
It's true. We're pharmaceutical companies' worst nightmare because we take patients off medications because they get better. They don't need the blood pressure medications anymore. They don't need ADHD medications anymore.
Let me ask you about for someone at home watching, like you said, with 14 days you need supervision. I think, look, there were some different periods where there's some measurements and vitals that were looking like maybe this was getting a little dangerous, or there was certain marks where it's like, all right, we got to cut it and get back into it. But what would be someone at home, like what is beneficial? What's the minimum fasting benefit that someone could do, and also that's safe on their own? 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, I'm sure, right? You can go along to like a couple of weeks without food per se, or water's important, but give me a little bit of, like, if anyone's watching, they just want to do on their own, what are some benefits they could get from doing for a certain period?
Sure. So first thing people need to start with is they need to start fasting intermittently, meaning they need to learn how to push out first meal of the day as long as they can, till noon or to 1. They can have water and black coffee when they first wake up or throughout the morning, but the best thing to do is push out the first meal of the day and eat the second meal within about 6 hours of the first one, and no snacks after the second meal. So 2 meals a day. Have 18 hours of fasting, including sleeping time. So it's not that bad. It's not that hard to do. And 6-hour feeding window. So that would be your intermittent fasting. Once someone has mastered that, then they can go to trying to eat 1 meal a day, perhaps a few times a week. And they can stretch it out to 48-hour fast, and they can do a 3-day fast. However, when you start doing multi-day fasting, there are certain rules you have to abide by to make sure that this is safe. First of all, people have to measure their ketones and their sugars with a meter. So they have to get a meter that checks their blood, not their urine. The urine ones are not reliable. And also they have to take salt throughout the day, certain amount of salt, to be sure that all the electrolytes are replenished. Because
so that is something you would, like, just when you drink water, you put some salt in water and drink it. Is that's and then what about black coffee? So is black coffee allowed during this fast, or is that different if you drink strictly black?
I didn't have no black coffee, no tea, no bone broth, nothing. That there's certain things that don't break the fast but under the circumstances of the bet, I just, only thing I had was water, and then some Himalayan sea salt, and then on day 12 or 13, day 12 and 13, I took my ADHD medication while I was playing.
But you can have broth, like that is during a fast, that's allowed, like to have bone broth, and that's like chicken broth. I mean, that is something in general. If you, that
you
doesn't
don't want processed. You don't want it from the supermarket processed. You want to make homemade, because there's things that could, calories, and could spike your insulin, and then you didn't really get a real fast.
Charlie went hardcore. He went without any kind of fasting aids, without anything, just salt and water, and that was because of the conditions of the bet. But we do recommend bone broth only as a last resort. So if you're thinking about quitting, if it gets too hard and you can't hardly manage without having some calories, I always recommend have a half a cup of bone broth, maybe a whole cup, and see if you reconsider.
Yeah. I also want to ask about, like, the thing about this fasting. It sounds really interesting, and I think that 18-hour, that makes a lot of sense, where you wake up, that maybe isn't the hardest thing, to have a little black coffee or some water, wait till afternoon, then have a meal, maybe even just 1 meal a day, get in that habit. But how does that work with, like, muscle and health wise? Because, like, I feel like there's a fine line between, fasting and losing your visceral fat, being unhealthy, but then also just, like, not being strong. And I guess obviously if you're working out, like, what if you're working out and trying to gain muscle? How do you do it if you don't have protein? Or, I guess I'm just trying to understand how that would all work out.
So, a couple of things with the 14-day fast. Yeah, of course, there might be some muscle lost, but it's a junk muscle that's being lost, and it does not usually happen with shorter fasts, and it doesn't happen at all with intermittent fasting. Now, you have to realize when you stop eating.
You actually could build muscle during intermittent fasting better than you can if you're not.
Yes, you replace the junk muscle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and my one thing that Dr. Nadir Ali and Nina mentioned to me that they predicted this thing pretty much.
Yeah, so as far as intermittently fasting, this doesn't happen at all.
Yeah.
What happens when you stop eating, your body does not stop eating. Your body is eating, it's tapping into your own fat storages and feeding off of the fat. Hence ketones. Ketones is a byproduct of fat metabolism. And ketones is the best and most efficient burning fuel that you could have, unlike carbs. It's a very clean fuel. So ketones are really good for your brain as well as your body.
Yeah, and another thing about ketones is ketones can't be used to fuel cancer cells. So glucose and, if I'm not mistaken, glutamine, which is in all of our food, but you can get by blockers, so you're not getting. But if you have nothing to feed the cancer, the tumor, that's why they implement it now. With it, people are already going through cancer treatment they see the response is much better when they're doing intermittent fasting with the radiation or the chemo, because your body's being fueled by the ketones. Your brain is basically, because your brain needs it, but it doesn't fuel cancer cells or tumors and then also, all the recovery time it gives your body and your organs. Like I said, with my psoriasis, it cleared up my psoriasis. That was like, as far as looking down and seeing different parts that improved, like my skin definitely got a lot better too.
And Nina, I do want to, again, if you could tell me, is there a website as well for your stuff or either one, the clinic that can show people?
Absolutely. So people can find us on alicardiology.com. The website is getting revamped right now, but the information will be on there. Also, can reach me directly at nina@alicardiology.com.
Okay.
And people can email in, and I'll be happy to get in touch with them. What we do in our fasting program is, of course, we meet with the patient and they have a consultation with Dr. Ali, and then they have so many coaching sessions with me. And Dr. Ali does participate in some of them. And we do blood work. We do, just like for Chalie, we did initial blood work and checked them out for everything. And we'll do blood work again within 3 months or so to make sure the proof is in the pudding. Are the numbers getting better?
Awesome. Well, we'll put that in the show more. And just the last thing I want to ask you before we let you go here is about these numbers. And there is some sort of analysis on it. Like it says 8. So I'm a little surprised. I would think that this would be dropping more based on all this. Like you would drop 3 to 5% or something, but still 2%.
I lost too much muscle. That's why. If I didn't lose as much muscle, which that's what I was getting to, Dr. Ali and Nina didn't think I would. But there's other factors that the reason I feel like I lost more muscle than assumed that we were going. But also, I met with Dr. Ali and Nina yesterday, and Dr. Ali's pretty confident that over the next 2 weeks I'm gonna put a lot of the muscle right back on. So we'll see.
10 pounds or so, right?
Yeah. So, but I also, one of the things that I've been on TRT for the past few years because I had natural low testosterone from, back in early 20s. I was stupid and, did anabolic steroids, and my testosterone levels never came back fully. So I've been on TRT for the past few years. And then during the fast, I didn't take it. And testosterone is key for muscle building. So I think that had some reason why I lost pretty much a 50-50 ratio of muscle and fat, which we thought I would probably lose about 4 or 5 pounds of muscle. So, but Dr. Ali, he's gonna release a medical report or try and publish it in a journal, and he'll get more into it and the reasons and dissect all the different metrics and let you know why some of them were outliers and give some explanations. So, like Nina said, it was a learning experience for them too. Dr. Ali, he's implemented this into his therapeutics, but he never had a 14-day one, like a patient that did a 14-day one.
And it was very interesting.
What is amazing. Nina? What is the most you've ever seen or heard of? I think Hook was saying before the show we were talking. Maybe someone's done 21 that they've tried to do. And how? All right. Last questions. I'm sorry. I know you got stuff to do as well. And Hook and I got a lot to reminisce on. But I just want to what's the most you're aware of someone doing, and what is actually the longest ever? Maybe someone was stranded in a desert, or do you know of what's actually possible with water? How long you can survive technically?
Yes, I do, and it's well documented. I don't know the names of either the patient or the study, but it's well documented, and people can research and find it. There is a person who fasted for a year with just salt and water. So he was supervised medically. A whole year. Yes. Wow. So I definitely don't recommend that.
I think that guy was also, he was getting some intake through bone broth and certain things that don't break the actual fast, but are, he's getting the salts and essential, I assume he was getting.
Yeah. I'm not sure on that. Yeah. But again, someone can look it up if they're curious. He's gone the whole year. And I believe that he was supervised very closely at some points. Like he was maybe inpatient in the hospital at some point. Definitely don't recommend that. And again, don't recommend a 14-day fast or even a prolonged fast without a doctor's supervision. And Dr. Ali is one of the best at what he does. So be sure to contact our clinic if you're interested. Anyone who's trying to get into better shape and obtain optimal health, not by taking medications, but by doing intermittent fasting, is more than welcome to join the program.
Very cool. Well, listen, Nina, thank you so much for joining us. I will have more info posted about this, and very cool. Really glad Hook made it through safe and sound, and appreciate it. And we'll definitely be checking that out. And I'm interested. I'm going to look into it. I'd imagine in different areas, pockets of the country, they have these type of things. But obviously, if you guys have some sort of program or ways you can do it from afar, then to go where I know it definitely works and safe. So we'll be happy to check in with you guys. But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Take care.
All right, guys. So that was Nina, and we can see here the clinic. It is a website right now. It says redoing. It looks nice to me, but there's some info on there. You can see alicardiology.com, and then we will have that in the show more, as well as some info on getting a hold of Nina if you're interested. But I think she popped on. Let me see if I might have to. Okay, I can remove you manually. So thank you, Nina. We'll check in soon. All right, so there we go. All right, we're back to just Hook and I. Well, that was good. We covered that. We can maybe answer some questions. If you guys have questions, get it in right now on Twitter. There is still time.
We have Perkins hop on, and he can talk about some of his thoughts and stuff, because I know he's tied up, but he can go over, he did a 7-day during, I think a 6 or 7 day during mine too, but we'll have to ask him. Maybe we hop on for a little bit and we can just talk about stuff together throughout, and then we'll just do the last hour or so, we'll just he's queued up. He said he wanted to pop on, so I know we were chatting. I think he's hopefully gets on here soon for a little bit. Okay. He's got the link, so he pops in. We'll add him in, but let's make sure he knows. Yes, I just pinged them again. Let's go down. Let's hop over to some of the poker. First of all, we met again 2009. I think again you were playing kind of cash games still, but you did some tournaments. If you could tell me a bit, let's go down. We'll talk first of all real quick. What was this? The 7K one got second. Oh yeah. Peters, and you were 1 card away. I know you sent me that video where you were a river card away from a bracelet. It was online. You hop in. What made you play this one? Because I know you don't play a lot of tournaments. And tell me about how that went. Yeah, I mean, for me, poker is a business, right? Like accolades are cool, like winning a bracelet, a WPT title, whatever. Like that's all cool. Like accolades are cool, but like I never I'm not going to look back in my journey through poker and like feel any kind of different reward from, having different accolades. It's, it just, especially when it comes to, tournament poker, it's not something that I really care to focus on or whatever. But with that being said, so basically what happened was we were on the beach and I knew about this event. We were down the Jersey Shore. We spent our summers there. My wife's from right outside Atlantic City. I'm from Philadelphia. So we have a house right there in the Jersey Shore, right outside of Atlantic City. So we're on the beach and I knew about the event. I was like, I'm not going to play it, whatever. And then I was like, you know what? I want to win a bracelet. And my daughter heard me say that. And when we got back from the beach, I was like, I told my wife I'm not going to play it. Like her brother came over and we ordered pizza and stuff or whatever. And if I remember correctly, I wanted 2 bullets and my deposit limits would only let me deposit like a bullet and a half. So then I was like, all right, if I win this hand of blackjack, I'll play it because this way I can just, I have 2 bullets. And so I won the hand of blackjack and I was like, all right, I'm going to play it. And my daughter's like, thank you. Like she wanted me to win her a bracelet. She was like, can you win me a bracelet? Whatever. I was like, I'll try, whatever. I'm probably have to buy her one because obviously I can't win her one. But yeah, so then I just hopped in and I just was like, all right, so the first bullet, I'm just going to play like a fucking maniac. And just, I think there was 140 people. I don't even remember what re-entries. I'm not even sure, but it's online. I can, it's not going to take up much of my time. And, it's probably the easiest way to win a bracelet. I mean, I know Pennsylvania had some events too with small fields, but I mean, I would say easiest because it's still tough. I mean, look at the final table and some of the names right at that final table. I mean, there's some really amazing tournament players.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of animals. All right, we're gonna hop back into the poker streets, but while Bill is he's around, he's no stranger to the podcast. Wild Bill, I think his 4th official time on, even though 2 podcasts, once about coronavirus. Now we got the man, the myth, Chalie Hook on the building, fresh off the fast, and we're gonna pop in. Bill, how's it going?
It's going all right. Look at Hook looking all skinny and shit.
Everyone's looking healthy. Look, I got to get one of these fasts going myself, man. This is pretty interesting. Bill, tell us a little about this. I think you did a week 1 yourself, and then give us your kind of take on fasting and what you would recommend to people that maybe want to do a 2, 3, 5 day one, and just give us your knowledge on it.
Yeah, so I think the longest I've gone is 5, and I try and do that. This is at the advice of my doctor, actually both doctors, several doctors. Get it in once a quarter or at least twice a year. You want to get into that point where I always pronounce this wrong, autophagy, where your body is basically eating old dead cells, eating the cancerous cells, burning fat, putting you in ketosis, resetting your immune system, cleaning you out. So there's other benefits. There's longevity studies, et cetera, with fasting. And to me, it's a low risk, high reward play. Except for, the pain in the ass psychological aspects of it that a lot of people have to deal with,
And you, so like on a typical day though, I know you're very meticulous about your food, your diet, what you're eating, how you're eating. Obviously die with 0, you're trying to stretch that out forever and go a long time, live as much as you can. You got a life clock as well, which is fascinating. Need to get one of those installed and figure that out. You got your calendar. So you're on top of this.
That life clock that Bill has gives me anxiety. Every time I see Bill mark that off, I'm like, I feel anxious.
It is tough, but it's important. I think it's good to be a realist about it. Right?
I think if you shift your perspective on it, think about look, you got a vacation here on Earth, right? You got a vacation. When you're on a vacation and you know it's going to end, you really appreciate the vacation. Like you get the things you want to do on the vacation, whether it's swimming, relax and read a book, see the museum, go to the building, whatever, right? And so I look at my life as like a vacation here on planet Earth and it's going to end. So I want to appreciate it. And so having that reminder that it ends makes me appreciate these moments even more. And so when I appreciate moments now and I take advantage of it and I'm present and I'm living my life, it's like a gift to my future self. Like that sense of accomplishment, that's a memory. That's a memory dividend, right? And that's my past self giving a gift to me now. And so I'm just giving gifts to my future self. Now, this summer, I ate like a man on death row. So I want to go punch my past self in the face, but and it's hurting me now. But yeah, that's
for sure. And
the way I look at it.
And so people, I mean, like from a standpoint of daily though, You would recommend though? It's like the intermittent fasting. That's something that people. How often are you doing that?
So I'm doing it like once a quarter, at least twice a year. I try and get it in once a quarter, but like I try to also manage around, like, I'm not the most pleasant person or when I'm fasting, and I'm not that fun. It's not like I can go out run a marathon and be super active on day 4 of a fast with the amount, with 0 calories. But, once a quarter is my goal to do it.
But in terms of like a daily, because if you try to not, I mean, obviously there's times you're hanging out, you had a nice dinner, you're going places, or you're whatever, you get hungry and you have some ice cream or froyo, whatever it might be, and you just do it. But like in a general thought, it is good. You would recommend to try to like not.
Yeah, intermittent fasting. Look, I've been looking into the intermittent fasting. It's definitely, there's a TED talk on it. There's a lot of data on there that it's good. I just haven't really put that into my routine yet. I suppose I should or could at some point, but everything that has been presented to me has been a positive. Like, this is a positive thing for your life. I just haven't completely dove into it. I'm just watching.
Seems like it's a Houston special. I know our man Bobby Sura was one of the originals that I heard it from. I know he does that, and I know that Hook had been doing it. I remember you were doing it, and it seems like a good thing, right? So in general, it just makes sense. You don't want to eat late at night, and then you want to just try to burn more calories and fat. But very cool. What about this 14-day bet? I guess there was a period where Hook, you were a little worried. There were some vitals coming in, and you were kind of there was a time where you were saying, wow, I forget what it was called. It was too low, and were you actually concerned and thought maybe?
No, I think it was, Bill will remember probably, but it was day 3 or 4, and we just saw how my ketones and my glucose were reacting, and I think we're approaching it as far as not even a full linear way, but the way it kept on scaling it, we kind of thought maybe by day 9, 10, 11, I had to worry about some of the things that Dr. Ali was worried about originally, not knowing you really don't know how your body's going to react until you go into it, right? You can be healthy, ready for it. But, Bill mentioned something, told me about ketoacidosis. And I got more knowledgeable about it, but it's a real thing. And there are dangers. So, staying monitored was important.
Yeah. And it was just extrapolation, right? So I had extrapolation error. So his ketones were doing a rise at a fast rate. And I thought he was going to break through the number where the doctor was going to be like, all right, we're going to call it, right? Call the fight. But, it did this and then leveled off and kind of stayed in a range as his body began to balance and burn fat and do whatever his body was doing. And so he never really got into the danger zone where the doctor was going to call the fight. But that's a common error, right? Traders make it all the time. People make it all the time. Big extrapolation error on my part.
Bill, from all the research I did prior to it, and then also Dr. Ali's a specialist, they all said that my muscle to fat ratio was going to be like at least 2 to 3 to 1 in favor of fat. But Bill was saying, you're going to lose a lot more muscle than you think. And I did. I mean, I lost more muscle than I did fat. And fortunately, I lost the visceral fat too. Like I basically have no visceral fat now. But yeah, I wasn't happy about losing that much muscle. And, I'm trying to build it back now, and we'll see.
Yeah. I didn't see that. Like I had different, kind of inputs and research on that. And just the fact that your fasting is a significant, because I think your RMR is like up in the 3,000.
Yeah, 3,300.
Yeah, 3,300 RMR. So you're talking about a pound a day of something, right? That needs to happen, right? Like you're burning muscle and fat, all right? And your body's starting to go, okay, where's the food, But how great was it not having to go to the bathroom every
No, that was good. And you mentioned in one of the voice memos you left me about how much free time you realize you have, and how much time food and planning and eating and prepping and going to restaurants, how much that takes up of your life,
Yeah, you basically get 3.5 to 5 hours, 3.5 hours, maybe even 5 hours for some people, but including transportation, sitting down, eating, and then transportation back if you're kind of a go out person, plus prep. It's a lot of time. So when you're just like, oh, I'm not eating, I'm just gonna have a glass of water, you just get a massive amount of time per day back,
Yeah.
And the other question I did want to ask, and if you've maybe done some more thinking on it, Bill, is like, I get the whole fasting deal, but what about the loss of muscle and just being healthy? Because just like being vegan, or, there's obviously certain things that it's good and overall, but just like you're losing also some maybe muscle and stuff like that. How do you sort of combat doing the fasting, but also just, making sure you stay healthy and keep muscle on and don't get too skinny?
I think that's one of the reasons why I would never do what Hook did. Is just that it has its benefits, but it also has its costs, right? And I value the muscle tissue, and I'm going to the gym now trying to build muscle, and it's a motherfucker, right? Like, after being out of shape, and so one of the an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about burning up the muscle that I need, especially at my age, right? Like, it's harder for me to build muscle.
And harder.
That being said, at the 4-day and the 5-day, right? Like, I'm getting the anti-cancer benefits, the longevity benefits, the gut biome benefits, the reset of my immune system, and nasal passages, et cetera, and the inflammation benefits for maybe like in my weight, like maybe like a pound of muscle, over 4 days, 1.6 pounds of muscle. I'll take that. I'll
For
take
sure.
that.
And I asked Nina a bit about this, and obviously this is your own opinion and not in health, not a doctor, but in terms of someone at home who's like, wow, this sounds cool, I want to try this or some of it. 14 days is a bit extreme. You obviously need like medical supervision, and don't just try that. But if you were just to say to someone at home who wants to do 3 to 5 day, what would be some tips you would say to do that, or what preparations would you want to have in place? And do you recommend that? Do you think it's okay to just do a 3 to 5 day fast, or still consult a physician?
I mean, I think everybody has their own medical profile. So there's some people like, I'm healthy, whatever, I'm just going to do a fast, right? You just jump into it. But there's other people with other conditions, maybe overweight or obese, high BMI, all kinds of other things. So it's never it's not going to hurt consulting a physician, right? And you could call doctors on demand and get a consultation. Like, hey, I want to do it fast, $25, $50, whatever, So I'm never gonna poo-poo consulting with a doctor. That being said, I think it's fairly healthy. I think the psychological impact is kind of the biggest thing. Day 2, I've always found, is the hardest day, because that 3.5 to 5 hours we were talking about a day, you're thinking about food, right? You're thinking or eating the food. Right. And so like, then you're like not doing it. And then your mind is still like, I want food, and you're hungry, and you're like, it's a discipline thing, right? And you're stressing out. And by day 2, you're like, whatever. By day 3, your body's breaking down fats, right? It's gotten off all the sugars you've been putting in your body, and it's learning how to break down fats and some protein, and it's starting to feed itself. So you have this like energy boost out of nowhere. And you're like, oh, I feel so much better. Like, so day 4, you actually feel like you can do 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Like, because your body gets into this rhythm. I'm going to bust down this fat that you've been building up, and it's feeding itself enough at the level of activity you're doing. At least that's been my experience the 5 or 6 times I think 5 times I've done it.
The only thing I can even maybe kind of relate to on this is I did that 10-day meditation retreat. I don't know if you guys remember that. I did it in South Texas, and that was crazy. I think I was an underdog to get through that, but I actually started feeling same thing. It was like day 2 was kind of the weird, hard part, not being on your phone. Now I have children, so it's different. We all have children, right? Can't imagine being away 10 days and just like not knowing what's happening on any degree. But I actually had like kind of an out of body experience. Like the only thing I compare it to is, something at Burning Man, which I've tried, and feeling this type of way. Did you feel like that, Hook? Was there any type of like, did you feel like you were almost on some kind of drugs, or like, was it like your body?
Bill, that I felt like I was like microdosing shrooms. I felt definitely there was your 4 very extreme clarity, clear, happy. Yeah. I didn't have any like depression or any like, I felt great. I mean, but when I pushed it a little too far, like I went for a light swim one day, my glucose went up, and I didn't feel that great afterwards. And then, I would have crashes. Like I'd feel great, but then at some point, kind of feel, it's just like nothing. Like I don't know, like, because I wasn't sleeping well. So
Right. Yeah, but did you find at night when you were laying down, your mind was like racing? Because I remember like I could replay like my whole life. At one point, it was like I was my first kiss and houses I lived in and rooms. It was just like crazy, like clarity and just sort of like thinking about. And I was so many thoughts and ideas and things.
Well, explain this retreat though. You just said you went on this retreat for 10 days. Give us the rules about this retreat.
Yeah. So no talking, no writing, no reading. It was like basically it was a Vipassana meditation. The one I did was in South. I actually left from a game. We were playing in the game, the home game. And I remember going there and it was just insane because I flew there and all of a sudden my wife, I went with Amelia. We weren't married, but there's a men and a women's side. So like you go into a temple for like 6 hours a day, 2 hours, 3 different times, and you meditate. So you see the women on the one side, the men are on the other. You sleep in your own dorm. You eat very little. It's the same thing like soup and, oatmeal, and it's not a lot of food. You go to bed early and you wake up at like 4 a.m. But it's basically just meditating all day long. You meditate in your room, you meditate in a temple. You get like an hour and a half during the day to walk around outside. But it was very crazy. Like it was no writing, no reading, no talking, no cell phone, and no note taking. And I had so many thoughts, ideas that like I actually wrote like 25 poems when I got out right when I got out. I went and like took a piece of paper, wrote down all these ideas and all this stuff, and I had all these creative juices flowing. But it was pretty insane to like not be able to write down, right? Like all these ideas and stuff, and I just couldn't take notes or anything. And it was a bit of a mental overload, I would say. It was a very intense experience, but I mean, I would recommend it. I think maybe a 3-day would be good. 10's a little extreme. And now I don't think I would do it. Again, I don't know how I could. I can't imagine with like, now there's crypto and NFTs and life and kids. It's like, how do you just like, Bill, what would be your price? 10 days to disconnect.
Oh man, I don't even know. I don't even.
You were interested though. You were thinking about this for a moment.
Yeah. And now it's like, just that the period I am like this period right now, I couldn't even fathom missing 10 days of my daughter's freshman year and my other daughter's senior year. And just be in the black with events happening, et cetera. So like it would just drive me nuts, So I don't know.
I don't think you would enjoy it. I don't know if you.
My life is about experiencing those moments, even if it's just a small touch and they don't even talk to me or they don't want to know me, but I'm there witnessing it. So like you're basically saying how much to give up your life. I just won't do it. Not at this pace. But when I'm an empty nester or there's nothing going on or they're doing their summer vacation, maybe I can peel off 10 days doing it. But like, I got a lot going on. Like I'm getting married in a year, planning for a wedding, doing, I got too many things. I can have a startup I started, it's a full blown.
No, I get it. That's the thing. I think it's about pockets and periods. I agree. Like that's why I would just say though, my argument would be that I would recommend it to anyone or to you, to you guys in general. Like I think it's something you should do, just like Burning Man. I think you should do it once.
I don't think Lara and Amanda want you like telling us we should do something like this. I don't think they'd be happy if
No, it's not the right time. Like it's not, and it's not for me now either. I can't imagine doing it now, but I like kind of did it before kids and sort of just whatever, right? But you gotta find your own time. Just saying, put it out there. Maybe in the future,
it's in there. It's in the future. Bill. Future Bill will do
that. Future opportunities. All right, Bill. Last thing before I want to let you go, because this is Hook's podcast, but you've been on enough. But we wanted to bring you in. Talk about. I got to talk little World Series. We're talking maybe. I know, Bill. I saw your tweet. You're kind of like out maybe on the World Series now. Hook. This is a memory. I think Bill actually had a piece of both of us in this one. The 100K. One drop. Hook, you lost aces to kings.
Bill had the biggest piece of me in that.
Yes.
I lost. I would have been second or third in chips. I lost my aces to kings all in pre.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah, that was a crazy tournament. So there's a couple high rollers, a couple things. Bill, are we going to get you there this summer? Are you out 100% because of the WSOP stance, or not sure?
Well, here's the deal. Like this WSOP can change their stance, and they can. It's not like they can't change vaccination. It's just a matter of like if you test negative, you're like, hey, I'm willing to pay for a test every day at the player's expense, or I'm willing to test and show I have antibodies or whatever, which is basically the same as being vaccinated if you had a bout of COVID, right? Then that's to me is the same as being vaccinated. And so like I just it's definitely their right. I don't want to get at anybody coming in like it's a private event. Of course, it's the right of the WSOP to do that. But I strongly encourage them to give people who don't want to be vaccinated but are willing to prove that they are safe to be around a chance to come play.
Right. Okay. And so, and also there was one thing that was sort of strange. Like they said that dealers don't need to be vaccinated. That's at least what I understood, which doesn't make a ton of sense. I don't get how they're there touching the car, whatever. And it seemed like a couple of their policies were a bit out there, but
they're a little inconsistent. I don't know the behind the scenes on what's driving this type of policy. You know, the Twitter verse is full of people speculating on, well, they don't have to do this, or the liability. They don't have a liability thing. It's the Rio. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just, I don't know what but there is something driving this, you know, policy. Maybe it's the easiest thing. Like behavior design is basically people will tend to do the easiest thing. And so maybe that's the easiest policy they can come up with. And the setting up the testing tents outside and contracting the doctors and having the QR code, whatever done, maybe that's too much of a pain in the ass for them. But, you know, I was recently in Nice in France. They have, you know, pretty much you have to be vaccinated to go indoors to anything or be tested. And they have these testing stations everywhere because there's a lot of people who are just like, I don't want to get vaccinated. But they can go up and get a test and then get a QR code and come in.
For sure. All right. Well, listen, Bill, I appreciate it. We want to, you know, this is down memory lane. Hook and I are getting to reminisce, tell some stories, do some stuff. I got a shout out for you in the chat from Any77. He said he just finished your book, and he also said congrats. People are saying congrats on the Heads Up Champ after your challenge. You officially, you know, got a withdrawal, a white flag from Landon Tice. So, Bill, you've come a long way, and people are fired up saying hello, and we'll have you on again. I think we're going to be doing something and talking about that soon with you on here. But for now, Bill, we got to this is Hook's time. So
this is Hook's time. Chalie, it's your show. Great job. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. And, you know, it just, it was awesome, you know, and honestly, like, you know, truly like our friendship too, over the last few years is, you know, helped me become better in a lot of different areas of my life. So, you know, I appreciate you and just want to let you know that.
I appreciate you. And you know what I also really appreciate about this is Hook documented his journey so that he can share it with other people who may or may want to do it, to learn from his lessons, his bio, his body fat, all that stuff. And that's just the type of person Chalie Hook is. He's just a, you know, just a solid human being. Anyway, peace. Have fun.
All right, Bill. All right, bro.
All right, Bill.
All right.
Cheers. All right, guys. So now that's it. Hooks. Of course, you know, this is podcast 147. We've never had a guest call in additionally. So this is nice. We're testing it out. Bill, come on. We had the nurse Nina in the house. So any other guests, Bill? Hook, you got anyone else we might get MP on? Let's see if he's around. We could call some people and add them in. But yeah, it's been cool. And now we'll dive in. I want to cover the this weight fasting thing, but we have a lot of stories and talking cash games, other stuff we'll talk about, kind of ups and downs starting, and maybe actually give a little bit of a shot, because I've been to you're rocking the Holy Family shirt there. You went to college, you played sport in college, basketball.
Here, yep. And now,
maybe tell me a little bit about that, and what maybe experiences you think it translates from being an athlete, mental side. I want to shout out to Elliot Rowe, of course. We got to talk about that and working with him and sort of turning points and what he's helped you with. But start with maybe basketball. Give me a little experience about where you played, being in college athletics and what that was like.
Yeah, so Holy Family is a NCAA Division II school. It's literally 15 minutes from where I grew up. You know, I mostly coming out of high school, I was recruited by like Division III schools and some real small D2 schools. And one of my best friends signed with Holy Family, so you know, and they had interest in me, so I went along there too. So that's how I ended up at Holy Family. Really good basketball program. One of my best friends who I played with, he was one of the best players in the program history. He's now the head coach. I think you've met him, Ryan Haig. Yeah. So I think you were with us in that Jay-Z concert with Jay-Z, and then plus, you know, other times you've hung out with him.
Yep. No, that's very cool. And how do you think the mentality of being an athlete with poker, what type of strengths do you think that, or similarities, I should say, do you feel that's helped you with like playing a sport and then getting into poker?
Yeah, I think it translates well, but I think you also have to understand yourself as an athlete and understand yourself as a poker player, and somehow, or in some ways, how they can clash. You know, your competitiveness in poker, you know, sometimes, you want to stay mentally disciplined and mentally strong and not get emotional in anything in sport or, poker or business, whatever. But it seems like sometimes emotions can fuel a different type of competitiveness, can push you to the next, can drive you, could get you, you get more aggressive or force things that, need to be forced. Whereas in poker, you kind of like my competitiveness, sometimes I have to turn down and, just the competitiveness outside to make sure I'm prepared, but in game, I can't be like, oh, I want to beat this person, or get sidetracked or get too amped up. Like, you have a championship basketball game. You're like, you can't wait. You're like, it's everything that's in your mind. But in poker, I think that approach can, be dangerous at times, especially when emotions come into play, where in sport, it just complements it a little bit more.
For sure. And so, we've played some tournaments together. We've played a bunch of cash together, some very high stakes games over the years, and for a period of time, maybe twice a week for a year and a half or two. I'd say your mental, I love like poker is so similar. I think of FIFA all the time, right? Like the attributes like speed, shot accuracy, left foot, right foot, all these things. Every poker player has attributes. What would you say your strengths are and weaknesses, and maybe just what you've worked on in the weakness field for you to kind of get to where you are in terms of playing some of the biggest games in the world and being mentally strong?
Yeah. So it's a good question. But for one thing that sticks out, even back playing college athletics and, never I was a two guard. So, you just keep shooting, and you can't get too caught up with being results oriented. And I think that's what a lot of people make in mistakes in poker, especially in tournament poker. They get a score and, they think, or a couple scores run good. And then they, RT's freaking out right now. Let me move. As far as, what was I saying? I'm sorry.
Talking about mental strength, toughness, and how, not being results oriented.
Yeah. So I think that's a big thing. Like many people in different areas are more results oriented other than just, keeping things fundamental and not worrying too much about the result short term,
For sure. And maybe talk a bit before, so we don't forget, actually two things. One, I got to ask you, because I don't really know many controversies or situations with you. You mentioned the name Ryan, I think your coach, but Ryan Fee, I remember seeing an interview or something where there was a bit of I don't want to say beef or disagreement. And, and I think there was something said. What was that about? Was that something is that cleared up, or what was that about?
Oh yeah, no, this was 12 years ago. Who knows? But yeah, so I have respect for Ryan. I mean, I don't know him personally, but it's a pretty funny story. I wouldn't say I'm embarrassed by it or ashamed, but Hook now would not be doing what Hook did 12 years ago. But basically, what happened with that was I was playing him heads up on ACR, and maybe I had like 40K on there or whatever, and he cleaned me out. But the whole time in the chat, he's talking shit, and I'm like, dude, fucking have some respect. You're crushing me. Like, don't be a little like whatever. Nick Frame, heads up player, messaged me. He's like, yo, you know who you're playing, right? I'm like, no, I don't know. And he's like, it's Ryan Feast. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, thinking in my head, I'm like, man, this guy's from Philly. Like, what? Like, I can't even believe he's a Philly guy. He's from Philadelphia. I think he might be from outside the city. So I don't know. I'm not really sure, but Philadelphia area. So I call a couple of friends that know him. And I got his phone number and I call him up. I'm like, yo, you think you think it's okay to just talk shit like that? Like, yo, have some respect. I was like, I want you to keep that like same energy next time I see you in person. And then he was like, he basically said it wasn't him playing. All right. Yeah, it wasn't him. He's like, that wasn't me. I was like, all right. So that was basically it. And then, Doug and other people got wind of it and asked me about it. And yeah, I mean, again, it was 12 years ago, but it just shows like, I would never do that today. And, even with Jesse Chinney, who's one of my closest friends from poker, and Marchese, like a lot of these guys, when I came into poker, I didn't make any friends. In my mind, I was like, I'm going to be competing against these guys. I don't really care to be friends with them. I have my childhood friends that, I grew up with. They're my friends. And plus Kenny Samarin, who I lived with at the time, was playing poker. So I wasn't involved in any of these groups, and these guys, would talk strategy, this, that, whatever. And then, people were keyboard warriors back then, and they would say stuff, and I'm like, yo, there's gonna like, you don't just talk to me like that. And but it's probably
it's different now, right? Social media information, everyone knows everyone. There's profiles. Like, yeah, it's a little less. Back in the day, it was like everyone just had these aliases and names, and we're doing whatever. So yeah, it's a little different. But people were definitely more brave pre-social media and technology.
It's still like looking back, like whatever. Fees is just I should have been more mentally strong, been able to handle it, and I'm definitely out of line. Calling him.
It also does depend what he's saying, right? I mean, if he's bringing family or moms or
he wasn't
nasty, but he was just saying he was just telling
like
needling.
Oh, he goes, "Are you busto or can you reload?" And like he goes, "Yeah, you suck." And he was showing me bluffs and just like talk shit. I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but nothing too personal. It's something that I should have been able to handle better. But yeah, I mean that's me 12 years ago.
To be honest, Doug, Ryan and Doug, those guys too, very successful in their own right, have the upswing and do well. Mm-hmm. And I know you're close with Doug, and that's it is. There's a lot of beefs and old stuff that would happen, so that's good to know. It's nothing crazy. And
they're sharp dudes. Doug and Ryan both are really sharp, and they built upswing, and they've done really really well with it. I respect Ryan. Like he, honestly, if I knew it was him, I wouldn't have played him. Like I back early on when heads up tables started popping up. I saw, I wouldn't sit with Ryan. Like I always respected his game. I think he's one of the best heads up players of all time.
Yeah, no, I mean, those guys were ahead of the time. And as you see, obviously we know they're still doing well and whatever. So that's, but yeah, interesting. Good to know that's clear up. I was going to say, I don't really have any controversy or stuff that I know, but that I do remember in an interview, I think.
I can't imagine getting in a fight or being crazy like that now. But even some of the times that we were out together and some crazy shits happened, like, Remember that time at Brigada when the dude tried jumping over the VIP and just to touch Mike?
Yeah. No, there's a lot of weird spots that could have gone other ways. But yeah, no, man, the people, it's you got to be careful out there, right? There's a lot of crazy people and a lot of wild stuff going on. But we definitely had good memories, good times going out. We had a lot of fun in Atlantic City in particular. I think it was 2009 when we first met. I mean, for those that don't know,
the heads up tournament. You were playing Kenny. Heads up.
Yes. And Borgata, man. I love the Borgata. We had so many good trips up there, and that was a fun place to be. We Hook was one of the people who first kind of shared some information, definitely like put me onto a little more poker strategy and definitely showed me some stuff. So it's cool. And then it's fun to battle. And we have played a fair amount of high stakes cash and it's interesting, different paths, and nice to get to have a conversation and talk about it and look at where we're at now. I want to check in on the early stage of the poker though. What got you into poker? Because when you were playing very high when I met you, and sort of showing me some stuff that I wasn't accustomed to strategy wise and whatnot. What was your path into poker? Who showed it to you? How did you get into it? How are you playing such high stakes early back then?
Well, I'm definitely like at the core degenerate. Like I love to gamble. Like there's no doubt about it. And it's been like that from as long as I can remember. But I've been exposed to gambling since 3, 4, 5 years old, especially growing up in the neighborhood I did, there's a lot of gambling and, whatever, there's booking and all kinds of stuff that's going on. So I've been exposed to it with, friends and family and stuff. And I always like puzzles and strategy games. And so like my first experience with gambling was the neighborhood I grew up in. They would have a carnival every year. And there was a wheel, the money wheel would have $1, $20, $5, and then you bet on it. But they didn't have it set proportionally. So, and they were like spinning. They were like all like in a frenzy to try and like keep on countering the wheel to make sure, for whatever logic, it wasn't created correctly. Right. So like if you put money, they had more ones on there that should have been, and then they changed it and put some 20s on. So now there should only, how many spaces there should only be 2 $20 bills. So now they have like 4 $20 bills, but so you just bet 20. So like the first year that happened, I remember getting like $20 off my mom. I'm in probably 5th grade. I don't even know. And I run up like 150 and I'm ecstatic. And then that's like my first experience with gambling. And then next year when the carnival came back, I started telling some of my friends, like, follow me, bet this, bet that. And then I kind of ruined the whole thing because then they called on that they just took the wheel down totally. So, but as far as poker, my grandmom, I started playing with my grandmom at a young age. We'd play for pretzels or whatever. Like we played a lot of cards, her and I. Basically, my mom worked 2 jobs, so like big parts of the summer when I'm out of school, I was staying with my grandmom, and we played cards all the time, and I just loved it. And then, after the moneymaker boom, I think I was like senior in high school or right around that time, we started playing with my high school friends and some of my, like for, a couple dollars here and there. And then I started playing in underground poker games in Philadelphia and started playing online. And that's when my freshman year in college, me and Kenny Samarin lived together, and he was already like full-fledged, like crushing sit and goes. And I think early on I dusted a couple of his bankrolls too.
And what was like to look back at that and then to see, playing a 100K buy-in tournament, play some of these, where you are now, some 25Ks and stuff. Like what was, when you first started here in 2006 playing tournaments, what was your online versus, I guess, well, you had been playing already, right? You were playing online cash at this point. Like what got you into tournaments at any point from cash?
Yeah. So, watching on TV, like back then, earlier I mentioned that accolades, like whatever, I didn't care, but I think, or currently I don't care, but back then I wanted to win some tournaments, and, I played 95% primarily online on PokerStars. I was playing, to 6 max, anywhere from 2-4 all the way up to 25-50. Then they added some 5100 cables, and I would take shots and had some good runs that, ended bad. I mean, as you were around for a lot of it. My early on in my career was an absolute roller coaster. So, and you know what, when you have no kids and no responsibilities, it's fine. And you learn a lot of lessons, and there was only one way it was going to go. It just isn't going to keep going up when you are always exposed with most of your bankroll or all of your bankroll. But I had, Marchese, other people that, supported me if I ever, not forever, but when I would go broke, they would, you guys would figure a way to get me in action, and I would rebuild and then go through it again. And, it's not that I regret it, because I learned so much through all those experiences, but it's not, it's just not a professional way to approach,
Yeah. I want to say, for sure. From knowing you from around 2009 and a couple of years and some tough years, up and downs, and seeing, some tough spots, but what was like a turning point for you? I know Elliott Rowe, working with him was a big shift, but what would you say was like a point in your life where, either you were just like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore, in terms of going up and down. Like, when did it change for you? Was it Chris being born? Was it, when was it just like, all right, I got to do this or not?
There's all these different things that came together all at once. When Chris was born, I was scared. I was like, I was playing on the Jersey sites, and I still was struggling with, just being disciplined with a bankroll management. And, even more so, I felt all this pressure. And, so I was like, I made a decision. I actually watched the Fedor Holt and Elliott Rowe podcast. So I reached out to Elliott and I started working with him. And this is around the same time I started coming out to Houston to play. And, my wife, she was basically like the biggest supporter I could ever ask for. And I'm like, really just thinking about like, yo, like you got to have discipline. Like you have a family now, you can't, it isn't fair to them, And I even considered, I did consider using my degree. I got my undergrad degree in biology from Holy Family, and I was going to, work in a lab or be a teacher and just play poker on the side. And then, just with Elliott and, support from a bunch of people, I was able to, get it done, get some discipline. And it's still something I struggle with. Like, fortunately for me, I'm in a spot where it's different, where, I'm just smarter about it. But I don't know. Looking back, I don't regret any of it. It was all good learning experiences, and going back to saying, like, I think at that age, it's fine, as long as you can, you should take some shots, but as long as you keep things intact as far, what happens is you're going down a rabbit hole that can get dangerous, right? And it's like at some point, if things get too ugly, there's like no point of return, right?
It for sure. I mean, I think also the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. And I mean, we have friends, you know, you've seen it. We've been seeing things, and it's just like at some point, right? You gotta just kind of take a stand, and it's not fun to just be constantly doing the same thing over again and not getting results. So yeah, shout out to Elliot Rowe. I've also, you know, honestly, the reason I wanted to work with him, I had heard about him for a long time. I also saw him work with Fedor. I knew he was very good at what he did, but you know, for me personally, I actually saw the shift and change in you. And I was like, wow, like, you know, I'd seen you struggle at times with things and mentally to just sort of do the right things because you were a talented poker player, but just not being able to quite put everything together. And then once you kind of shifted and got it going, and I was like, wow, this is definitely, you know, I can find stuff that I could be better at or work on and just started working with Elliot. So, you know, I think a big shout out to him because he definitely is very good at what he does and does get people on track and gets results. So yeah, you know, big hello and shout out to him, Elliot Rowe. Yeah, cheers to him. But cool. Well, yeah, that is I guess I want to understand too about where you grew up because it was, you know, I've gone to where you live. It's actually nearby where, you know, one of my family members lived. I remember we went there, saw her, and then also went by. But, you know, tell me a little bit about growing up for you and, you know, how often do you go back home, and a little bit about your community and what it was like growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in like the Wissinoming, Frankfurt section of Philadelphia. I grew up in a row home, and yeah, I mean, it was I love my childhood. You know, I like the guys that I grew up with are like my brothers forever, right? And like, you know, I always thought like, and even looking back, like I was blessed. I was lucky. I had, you know, my mom was a devout Catholic that worked her ass off to make sure that I had resources that a lot of my friends didn't have. So, you know, I went to private school. I mean, some of my friends did, but I went to private school. My mom, you know, basically worked the bingo hall, would do whatever it did or whatever she could to be able to afford the tuition. And, but I always like, you know, my grandmom and my uncles and my aunts, they were all like, you know, really, really tight family and they kept me balanced. And, you know, I felt like, you know, I had it great, especially compared to some of my friends who, you know, it wasn't, you know, everyone had some fucked up shit at home. You know, my brothers, you know, I call them like, that's the way I see them. But, you know, we all had each other and, you know, and yeah. And like I said, I felt fortunate because, you know, some of the stuff that my friends went through, you know, it was hard seeing and knowing that they had to go through that. But yeah, and yeah, you came to my neighborhood. My mom was still living in the neighborhood at the time, probably about like 10 years ago. So you saw the way I grew up in the area. I think we went and got cheesesteaks, and then you told me your aunt lived in Kensington, and I was like it shocked me because that's like the next neighborhood or neighborhood in neighborhoods over from where I grew up. And you told me she lived at Kensington, Allegheny. Like anyone can YouTube Kensington, Allegheny and be like, oh shit. So we went into her house. What she did was she bought that firehouse.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, she's in the middle of one of probably the worst neighborhoods in the world. Yeah. Or, I shouldn't say world, but one of the worst neighborhoods in the country. And that's where I went to high school. The private school I went to was in Kensington. So, I mean, I was just exposed to so much, you know, with the inner city and just different, you know,
I don't know the last time you've been back, but first of all, shout out to my aunt because her place, she has this old firehouse. It's a pretty incredible place, like 5 stories, and like it's awesome, but it's for sure a tough neighborhood. But I've seen, and I haven't been there in maybe 2-3 years now, but when I was back there, the areas around it were like crazy developing, like nice stuff all over popping up. So I'm curious how it is right now in general, but like I just saw that like area, I was shocked. Like it was like fully kind of like Detroit, how shocked I was where when I went back to Detroit and I was like, wow, like it's really nice in a lot of areas. So I don't know if that's like quite touched in that region yet, but it does seem like it's developing really nicely and growing. But
yeah, so one of the surrounding neighborhoods is Fishtown, and right around the area of Fishtown, where Fishtown meets Kensington, they definitely put some nice restaurants in, and, you know, the infrastructure's changed a bit, you know, and but there's just pockets, man. There's like, you'll be in a really nice area or nice neighborhood or part of the neighborhood that's really nice. And then, you know, 2 blocks over, it's, you shouldn't be going there. Like it's super dangerous. And again, for me, you know, even parts of my neighborhood, you know, me and my friends didn't like really go into, but, you know, we were all exposed to it. But like, I go back now and I walk through the neighborhood and I don't feel that comfortable. I always like, I was like thinking that would never happen. I'd go to my neighborhood and never feel that way. But I mean, some of my friends still live in the neighborhood. But as a kid, I had 15 of my friends. We always went everywhere together. And there's been some shaky situations. Like I got stuck up twice, but that was young. When I was actually going to, I was taking a bus from my neighborhood into Kensington to get a haircut, and a dude put a gun to my back on the SEPTA bus and took my bus tokens. So, I mean, just, grew up in inner city Philadelphia and was exposed to a lot. But like I said, I was really fortunate. My mom sent me to private school because, the schools in the neighborhood were no good. That's the other thing. Like I see like some of my friends I grew up with and where they're at today. And it's like inspiring to me. Like I'm so proud of all of them, with the little resources they had in different ways and some of the troubling, things that were going on in the neighborhood or in our houses or whatever, like to see where they're at now is like, it's amazing. So
for sure. And what do you prefer? I don't know. I mean, now it's different because you are, maybe talk a bit about some of the biggest pots or that you've won or lost, not necessarily, playing with some interesting people that we all know, but we can't go into too much details on that. But in terms of maybe some of the pot sizes, some of the highs and lows on biggest wins, biggest losses, we could cover. But if you were to just let's take that 100K deep run, right? You're in there, you aces all into kings. It's $5 million to first. We both were in that tournament. That was pretty exciting. But like, what to you is more exciting, to play like a deep stack cash game, or like when you're, let's just take this feeling where it's 5 million up top, and something like where you're down to 2-3 tables, this, or like playing a big, on the turn in a massive cash pot. How do you kind of relate the two?
I prefer cash, nosebleeds cash, just super like, juicy games, like, over tournaments, especially the way that the game's evolved. And first of all, how good these tournament players are. And second, just like, I want to do it. I like the thought of it. And once I'm registered and sitting in my seat, I'm like, damn, why am I playing this tournament? Like people are taking 5 minutes to make a decision. I don't enjoy it. I don't have a passion. I don't have fun. I think I do. But then once I expose myself to it again, I'm like, fuck, what am I doing here?
Right. Yes.
But as you get deeper, then that goes away and you're like, this is really fucking cool, I mean, I will say this, when I play tournaments and I'm in a big all in or a bluff or whatever, I feel like my heart rate and get more jittery or nervous than any kind of cash games that I've, been in monster pots or bluffed or whatever. So yeah, it's different. It's just different emotions probably running through and, whatever.
For sure. And let's talk. We wanted to get some questions here. So I do want to, there's a lot. So we'll try to zoom through a lot of these.
You got about 45 more minutes?
Yeah. About 30, 45, 30. I got to actually do a commentary for Party Poker after this. So yeah, about 30 minutes. So, like, I do want to leave room for questions. And I also, so why don't we talk a little bit about some of the big, maybe ups and downs, the highs and lows, and some of the biggest pots you played, also biggest winning or losing sessions, and up to you to share numbers or a range. But tell me a little bit about the mental, like how the difference is from these super highs to these super lows, because I think mental health obviously is such a big topic in the world right now. You see it at the Olympic levels, and whatever, right? Like this is also in poker, you're actually hitting some super high extremes, right? You can literally be losing or winning. I'll let you go into numbers, but like, how do you deal with the when it's really good and when it's really bad? Have you found yourself sort of being able to stay more balanced, and maybe share a little bit about that before we take these questions? Yeah.
So as far as the mental aspect of it, I would love to think that I can handle it, and it's nothing and whatever, but over the past few years that, my results working with Elliot and even what's going, like how dialed I am versus when I'm not working with him is like, it's drastic. And, he's been, as far as the mental aspect of it, he's the most key, figure in my growth as far as that. But, I mean, the roller coaster definitely wouldn't be fun today. I mean, the highs and lows. So I try and, stay even keel regardless of results. Like I said earlier, not being too results oriented. And then also, like, even in winning sessions, making sure that, back to results oriented, but people are usually results oriented in losses, but not wins. They don't really evaluate, look back and be like, yeah, I won, but if I continue to play this way, it's not winning poker, or like, and it's important that at all times I'm just trying to play, fundamentally the best that I know.
For sure. And would you say that, in terms of when you have let's say a big loss in a session, how are you able, what are some things you do to sort of like after it's over, how do you sort of like bounce back? And also, do you notice a mood, like, because listen, I know how my wife is, Amelia, and Amanda as well. Like when you're at home, it's not fun to lose, whether it's tournaments or cash if you bust or something. Have you gotten sort of better? And like, how do you guys handle in terms of communicating? Do you automatically tell her win or lose what happens? Do you just say, don't really worry about it? How do you guys handle that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I'd be able to get through the swings without being transparent to Amanda and letting her know about how I feel emotionally, and even the numbers. She's the only person that I really share with. My sister too, she knows a bit, but I mean, Amanda's been amazing, supportive, and she's always keeps things in perspective and positive for me. And I mean, I think early on, like, when Chris was born again, it was stressful times, and I didn't handle it as well. But again, as I grew, and it's been tough on her too, right? Like, Amanda, she worked her ass off, got her degree in nursing, wanted to start a family, and then you have to kind of have to believe in what I'm putting out here, right? Because it's like, her life's tangled into this, right? Like our kids' lives, like, for sure. Just some pipe dream, or like, is he ever going to be able to get disciplined? Like, is he ever going to, handle this more professionally? So like, maybe if she doesn't come around and we don't, start a family, maybe I wouldn't. So I don't know. I just know that she's instrumental. Like even and again, my mom has always been supportive. She wasn't thrilled, because, the plan was to go to medical school and chose poker. And, my mom's been real supportive through the ups and downs. Now looking back, she helped me get through some times, but it's like, fuck, like, I can't imagine what was truly going through her head, because if that was my son, I'd be like, I want you to not play poker anymore. But
yeah. How, just before I forget on that, cause I have a pretty good idea, but in terms of your mom, met her and how was her, like, how has she handled sort of the highs and lows? And so like from when at what point, was there a point where, cause I know very supportive of the family, but was there a point when they were kind of like, look, man, like Hook, like you now have a kid, whatever, or you're getting married, these type of things where they like, look, did they try to kind of direct you, guide you into a different path because they saw how volatile it was, or were they always just like, do what you love?
Well, I think really the only people I listened to when it came down to that, like that could really break through and I reevaluate what I'm doing, are like my close friends growing up, my mom, Amanda, whatever. And to be honest, I would say 95% of it was all supportive. I'm sure, like, some, like, even my friends, they started having real jobs after college. They would, like my buddy Wanger, like at one point he gave me a bunch of cash to, survive and, continue to play and be in action. And my childhood friends who weren't involved in the industry, they supported me. And, it helps when you see other people supporting, this journey. And so I'm sure that a lot of people were probably, what the fuck's Hook doing, but also I do think, going back, all my friends and people that are close to me and know me from, early on, know that, like, I just don't like to fail. And it's not that you could just guarantee success in poker, but, I felt myself early on not being, like a little bit of self-sabotage, and then also like not working as hard as I could have worked, or getting the discipline needed, because maybe I was scared that if I did all that and still failed, I didn't have a scapegoat, like, and that's basically what changed everything again, was working with Elliot and doing everything. Goggles knows, I started getting some coaching from him, and I still get coaching and work on my game, and the game's evolved so much, I won't be able to compete with the best players in the world anymore, or, you know, online or whatever, these high rollers, but there's different things that I need to stay sharp with and work on to make sure that I'm ready for what I do in poker, you know?
For sure. Well, I agree. Before we do, I want to remind everyone we are giving away a 109 ticket here, and you guys can ask a question. We'll try to get to as many as we can. We're going to dive in. Also, my dad had a few questions. Shout out to Papa G. I know you guys
Mr.
had
Gross.
you guys did a nice course together and got to hang out and know each other.
Actually, there was an experience with your dad where we, you know, him and I did the choice together, and then, you know, he knew how stressed out I was going into, you know, when Chris was born, and he, you know, I felt like I held a lot of it and was kind of mad at myself and blamed things on me, and I was doing a lot of like wishing and like, oh, I wish I did. And like, I don't do any of that now. Like, there ain't no wishing over here. Like, I don't wish for things. Like, you know, I think that's just a weak mindset. And your dad, like, gave me some really good books to read and like talked about forgiving yourself and not being so hard on yourself. And that was also a key moment. They all like just came together all at once. If you can remember when we were on the balcony in Vegas, like, it's just, you know, and enough's enough. Like, you know, I just needed to get disciplined, and, you know, I had a really good support around me.
For sure. No, I remember that. And he actually, we'll lead it off before we dive into the questions here. I do actually want to, we'll take a couple of his, and he does say hello, but I want to ask you as well. Like so give me a little bit of a range, either a session, a week, a pot, you could, whatever you want to give me a little scope on what's the biggest like win and loss, either pot wise or session wise you've ever had.
My biggest loss is bigger than my biggest win. But, you know, I'll talk about the stakes. The highest stakes I ever played was 2,000, 4,000, no limit. Played a few different times, but I've been in some really big pots, win and lose. You know, I don't know, probably stress my mom out if she heard some of these numbers, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't faze me either way with, you know, I don't get too happy. Like, oh my God, like, guess what? I won this big pot, or, you know, oh shit, like I fucking lost this pot. Like, you know, and as soon as those thoughts start creeping in, you know, that's what I have Elliot for. And, yeah. And I think that, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go into exact pot sizes, but I've won some tattoo bets during some of these pots.
There's been some big numbers flying around. That's for sure. Some big sessions, big hands. But yeah, it's large. So yeah, we don't want to give exacts, but it's, you know, these are, if you can imagine 2K, 4K, that's not the buy-in. That's the blinds. So, I mean, small blind, big blind, straddles, other stuff. And I know it's gotten pretty astronomical. I mean, even back from, again, when we were playing a lot, like the game got pretty big and then it would go in lulls, but it's really just taken off. I mean, the size of some of these home games, the biggest games in LA and Houston and Miami, some other parts of the country, the games have gotten bigger. It's just like the tournament buy-ins, $1 million tournaments, there's cash games that are just kind of, it's crazy to think about how big they are. And you've definitely, you know, been a part of some of the probably record pots, at least in the last couple of years, both ways. So very cool. Let's take some questions over here. Again, you guys still not too late to get in, ask a question. We're going to go right here. We just one from Kieran Bros asking about your childhood, which you just kind of went through. So we already covered that. What is biggest way to counterbalance playing poker? How do you kind of find yourself, especially with some of these late nights? You know, you finish at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., maybe 24, 36-hour sessions, some crazy stuff. How do you find your way? How do you get back into like kind of normal life, or just like realize with your kids too? It's like now your kids start having activities, they have school. You know, how are you being able to kind of shift from like, all right, this is professional life, grind time, to family time? How do you kind of segue and do that?
Yeah, well, outside of Elliot, I have a few people that I work with. My friend out here, his name's Tony LaCara. He does like physical therapy and training. So like we make sure that no matter what, I'm recovered, and I do ice baths, I do a sauna, I work out. My diet is decent, but it could be better. But yeah, the family life, man, like that is the easiest balance. Like, it's like there's nothing more important to me than being involved in my kids and my wife's, everyday life. So, that helps keep the balance. I mean, my family's goals are more important to me than anything else at this point, and just making sure that it's hard. I mean, it's not easy, like staying present and being like tired. Like there's a few different times that, had a parent teacher meeting or some kind of whatever for my son. And I'm coming off a 48-hour session and I'm like struggling. And I'm talking to Christopher's friends' parents. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so shot out right now, but yeah, I mean, it's not the easiest thing to balance. Let's be real. Like, and then on top of that, one thing that I always respected about you is how hard you fucking work and how you are a machine with like, you would get your sleep on planes. You go from one city, but then I also was like, I don't want to be over diversified as far as time and even investments or whatever, like you do. And then you find yourself and you start getting involved in crypto and real estate and, and that helps balance it, but then it takes away from, the family life. So I try and keep a good balance and, and just, enjoy some of my hobbies and spend some time with my friends and my family. It's just the priority.
Well, there's a question right here, just kind of segued in there. Longest session. I mean, is it 48 hours? Is it longer? What is the longest?
I did. So back in whatever year I went deep into the Commerce Heads Up tournament, whatever year that was, 2009, maybe 10. I don't even know. I don't even know if I cashed in. I might have lost them, but whatever. Long story short, I went out to Commerce for a month and I didn't get sunlight the entire month. I didn't leave the casino. I went to my room and I remember one particular session where I was like almost 60 hours in or something. And I started like hallucinating. But I was playing 2040. Actually, I think Antonio Espindiari was in the game too. And we're playing 2040 no limit. And I was stuck like 5,000 or 6,000. Finally got even. And I had to have the concierge at the Commerce help me up to my room. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. Like I was on a different planet. Like I was actually scared to go to sleep. I'm like, this can't be healthy. Like this is bad. Like I was seeing things. I was going delirious. So that was my longest session and didn't get fresh air for a month because I think I slept like 20 some hours after that session and just went right back at it. So now I every once in a while there might be a 24-hour session that pops up or we're just playing or whatever, but we've done a really good job of like just making sure that we're not pushing the limit and ruining other parts of our life and keeping off the balance. So yeah. That was my longest sessions at the Commerce. I mean, you've been around me. Like that's another attribute that I always had was I can play and play and play. Yeah. And I remember shout out to my buddy Rob Velasco. Him and I were living together one of my first year after college, and he would come down. He was going to law school, and he would come down. There'd be piss bottles next to the computer, and he'd be like, "What the fuck?" And I'd tell him like, "Yeah, I just piss right in these Gatorade bottles. So I don't want to miss." I would play fucking 10,000, 10,000 hands sessions or whatever. And so, I mean, and smash a lot of computers. Back then I would smash computers. He must have thought I was crazy. But yeah, so back to the longest sessions. I mean, I've had a lot over 24 hours, a lot, but the one that stands out the most is the Commerce early on in my career.
For sure. I've played a couple in Houston and we got to give some shout outs to some of the people. Nick, of course, Nick at Night. I know I think he might be watching or tuned in and Nicky
Baba, one of my best friends, I love that guy, and that's the other thing with this poker journey. Like I never thought that I would gain friendships and trust and love for anyone outside of the people I grew up with and my family. Right. Like, and still to this day, like they're that's everything to me. But the people that I've met through the poker journey, you, Marchese, Mike, Jesse Chinney, Nick, Perkins, Kathy, like Soar, like and then people that I've learned so much and I've grown because of being friends with them and they all mean a lot to me in different ways,
I for sure. I mean, that, again, like the names and the people and just some of the legends that we've got like played with, and just, you know, everyone's so unique. I think that's the coolest thing about poker is like people,
Yeah.
especially at the higher stakes and stuff. From us that we're coming up a little bit younger and we're not background of business, and to get to kind of rub off or get to see what works, what successful people do, and how they kind of interact, and the fact that poker is a common ground where people love to compete, play, and talk and whatnot. It's been cool. Yeah, big shout out to Bobby and some of those guys there. That, you know, Houston poker. It's amazing. It's an amazing place and some great relationships there for sure.
Yeah, you're spot on. I've learned so much. I mean, financial literacy, particularly, like, you know, a lot of my bankroll management and stuff like that early on was not just because I was a DJ and I wanted to run it up, but, you know, I didn't know anything about, you know, investing and diversifying. And, you know, even back in whatever, 2000, early 2010, 11, 12, whatever, whenever I started working with Russell Fox as my accountant, like I didn't know any of that. I didn't know how to, you know, balance a spreadsheet and you know, be professional about things, or I didn't know anything about, like, growing up. Like, it's funny because I look at some of the kids that, you know, come from, you know, households with more resources, or, you know, middle class or higher, right? And like during Christmas, they'll get stocking stuffers that are like stocks or like some kind of like gold investments, whatever. And like our stocking stuffers were like scratch off lottery tickets and football pools, like, you know. So I think over the last 6-7 years, I think as far as like, I guess I could say I was financially illiterate coming into it, and just have learned so much, and when to take chances, and how to evaluate an investment and whatever, you know. And yeah, so
very cool. It's it's been, I mean, poker's a great game, really. I think there's so many good things that have come from that. And a lot of my strongest relationships I met either directly from the poker table or indirectly. And of course there's also some crazy stuff too, right? There is some negative things in poker, but just like business or life, I mean, we've been a part of or seen some stuff that's pretty horrible, and it is what it is, right? Like, that's just part of the game. There is stuff, there's lessons, and just anytime there's money, business, poker games, whatever, there's going to be some negative things. And you got to keep your head on a swivel and try to do the right things. But I think that, you know, that's safe to say that we've learned a lot of lessons, and poker's been very good to you and for me for sure. So top 3 tips to learn cash games. Anyone, like, if you had advice for someone who wants to start playing cash right now, what would you say to someone who wants to get into it?
I mean, the training sites for sure, or hire a coach. I don't, you know, depending on, you know, if you're just starting out, you probably don't have, you know, if you're trying to build a bank or whatever, you know, I would suggest you get an Elliott Rowe and, you know, Doug's Upswing, or, you know, Tyler Forrester. That's Goggles knows, that's who I worked with. He does some private coaching. Just get coaching, and there's great sites out there. There's great coaches. And well, you have to be careful because there are some really bad coaches too. There's some snake oil out there. People like for me, like, you know, if someone approached me for coaching, I'd be like, I'm basically not qualified. Like, there's so many better people especially, like, I'm not going to pretend and act like I can hop back in the online streets right now and win. It's just, I would have to put a lot of work in. So just got to be careful, especially, you know, you see some guys with training sites that have some really good results, but, you know, that doesn't carry over to today's game. So I would just, you know, get a good coach. I would, you know, do my due process of like figuring out who is good, who's not. And I mean, I think Upswing, I think Doug's really good. I mean, Doug knows how to dumb it down too. Like, Doug's such a smart guy, but he does a really good job of breaking things down so everyone can understand. And you know, fundamentally, Doug's so good, and he's a hard worker. So yeah, Upswing, and again, Tyler Forrester, probably my 2.
Yeah, and that is true.
On site too.
Yep, those are all. There's a lot of good options. Those 2 for sure. I think that's one of the tricky parts. Is like, you take someone who's really good at something doesn't mean they're going to be a good coach or be able to get their thoughts down to the level where people that they can take it in. So I mean, for sure. Again, there's so many good options, but yeah, Doug, Phil, those sites, they've been doing it a long time, and they kind of cater to all the different levels and entry points. So for sure, agree with that. sports. What about, do you practice any sports? You still playing some basketball? I saw you could dunk recently still, or is that
yeah. I still play basketball every once in a while, but not much. No leagues or anything. I'm too scared to get injured, man. Like I don't want to have a broken arm or tear an ACL or whatever. And I enjoy working out and doing, staying active. But as far as like the sport, and plus I'm too competitive. Like I don't really dabble in sports or teams or anything anymore. I just try and stay in shape. And my son loves baseball, and it's been fun, like having catches with him. And we had shout out to Jason Lowell. He's a baseball coach, a hitting instructor back home, and we had Chris working with him all summer, and it was amazing. So like I wanted to learn more about baseball because I don't know that much about baseball, and if I'm going to be helping Chris while we're out here in Houston, I don't want to be setting them back and, have to have someone reverse engineer all the bad fundamental stuff that I've taught them. So, I'm learning more about baseball, and, I enjoy playing with Chris. So, yeah.
Very cool. Do you think this question from Andre Basas asking, do you think it's possible to be really good in both cash games and tournaments, or do you think it's more likely to focus on both one or the other?
I mean, again, back to fundamentals. I think, there's no more sound way to learn poker than, playing cash games. But they're different, right? But it seems like from my experience, again, like I'm pretty far removed from what's going on in poker today, and what really, like, what's winning, what's the best way, like, is it GTO, whatever. But I felt that all the best cash game players did a really good job coming over to the tournament world. Like I feel like me and my friends from the cash games have always done well when we did play tournaments. I mean, you take like a Tom Marchese, Tony Gregg, and you take Greggy. I mean, Doug. I mean, all these guys have done really well when they've ventured into tournaments. But I don't think tournament players do necessarily well when they hop into cash games. They're just not used to playing that deep. There's just a different game, and yeah, they might play, a 10 big blind, 20 big blind stack perfectly, but that's not how no limit cash games work. You're buying in deep and you're putting in some really tricky spots. It isn't all just straightforward as far as tournaments are, right? Like shove ranges and this, that, whatever. You can just do some studying and figure out what's the right play in that spot. But yeah, so I think I mean, I'm biased, but I think that cash game players are just overall more skilled. And I think the purest form of poker is heads up. And I feel like heads up players are the best. Like, I just feel like if they want to go play six max, do a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of coaching, they're going to be ready. They want to go to tournaments, they're going to be ready pretty quick. But you take a tournament player and just start sticking them in the heads up against the best, it's not going to work out well.
For sure. All right, let's take a couple more here. There's a lot, so I guess Hook does. Yeah. We'll see. He's tagged on these, and hopefully, he can answer some more on directly as well. But we want to make sure we have time to give the ticket away, and then I do have the community knockout going to be doing some streaming for Party Poker here shortly. So I like this question here. What was the most memorable situation you have ever lived in your poker career so far by now? Like what is it? Maybe, I don't know, tournament, cash game, early on in your career, winning online something, or being at a location for something. What is something in poker you just really stands out for you that you love?
Winning the Brigada event was pretty cool, and I called that. I actually left the Vegas World Series of Poker, and I'm like, I'm gonna go play this Brigada event, and
I remember that actually. Yeah. That tournament's amazing too, right? Just because the timing of it, it's in the summer.
It was incredible. That was pretty cool. But like, I would say outside of like the things that poker have, like, for example, like my mom, like go back to my mom, she worked, 2 jobs, whatever, did everything to support me. She gave up everything in her life to make sure that my sister and I had whatever we needed to pursue what we wanted to pursue. And then, my mom, she left my neighborhood, which, isn't, it is what it is, but to a worse neighborhood, and, where she worked and was taking public transportation, just like stressed out of her work. Like, it was just overwhelming. So I think, like, for me, being able to help my mom in a way that she could retire a few years early, I would say is probably my biggest achievement. Like that's the most fulfilling thing for me as far as poker, that, you know, I can give back to her for all the sacrifices that she made. I mean, hopefully I don't fuck that up and can't help her there anymore. But yeah, so far I would say that's, for me, that's the greatest accomplishment, was to be able to give back to my mom for all the sacrifices that she made. And, you know, the back end of, you know, her life or whatever, she can enjoy all the hard work that she put in, you know. So
very cool. All right, let's take one or two more, and then I'll load up this giveaway. The what is the best place in the world for playing poker? Let's take like tournament. You know, maybe I know you did Monte Carlo and traveled some around the world. Where's your favorite place out of all the stops that you've been for poker?
Monte Carlo by far. Actually, I really loved Aruba. That's where I met Marchese. He was down in Aruba. And him and I became really, really close ever since. And maybe Aruba, Monte Carlo. Yeah. I mean, I'm biased. I always, you know, the Brigada has always been a special place, you know, for me. But, you know, Monte Carlo is pretty amazing. Yeah, I love Nice. San Remo was awesome. But yeah, I mean, again, like growing up in Philly, you know, I barely left my neighborhood. The only time I really left my neighborhood was my family, like aunts and uncles. They had a shore house down in Wildwood, and there'd be like 30 of us not packed, but 30 of us in this house that we shared together. And I never really got to experience anything else other than Philadelphia, my neighborhood, not even Philadelphia. Like, I think going into 8th grade, I never even sold a Liberty Bell. I was never even downtown. Downtown's 10 minutes from my house. And we didn't leave our neighborhood. So now going from that to, you know, traveling the world and meeting different people in different cultures and getting outside the box, there's no replacing that. Like the experiences that I've had, I feel so fortunate, you know, and it's because, again, of the people who made sacrifices for me. And then, you know, just some of the decision making along the way.
For sure. And Ghost of M, Marco, one of my lead moderators, the lead moderator. He is always in the mix. He's aware of you. You got your own emote on the channel on my Twitch stream, the Hook emote. That is for Chalie Hook. So he's got a question here. Talk about a lot about family and friends who support him on his journey. Ask him what he thinks are the chances for people who may have the desire but no real support network. How difficult is it if you don't have people that believe in you and have your back and trust you and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be in a spot that the spot that I am in without the support system I had. I mean, I guess, you know, for me, loyalty is more important than anything. There ain't nothing I'll ever sell out for my loyalty to all the people that, you know, I love and have helped me. And, you know, I guess I just been really fortunate. I don't know what to say if you don't have a support system other than, you know, there's forums and stuff that you can, you know, link up with people that are probably in the same boat, and you guys can, you know, kind of vent, trade ideas, strategy, whatever it takes, you know. But there's groups out there. There's, you know, and I don't know what there is today. That at 1.2 + 2, you know. So I don't know. I just been really fortunate with, you know, even early on, like one of my closest friends, he's a bit older than me, you know. He, you know, growing up in the neighborhood, he'd make sure I didn't get involved in any of the street stuff, and he like looked out after me. He supported my poker career, and like his name's Chucky. So like him and like so many people along the way have just, you know, been supportive and helped me. So
that's awesome. And there's one, I know you love UFC. You love to watch your boy Eddie Alvarez, and you're in the mix. So I love this question here. Let's end.
Yeah, Eddie, I actually sent him this question. If you could compare your style to any UFC fighter, and I think there's some similarities to, you know, Eddie as a fighter to my poker career. You know, Eddie's as tough as they come. I mean, Eddie's actually from where your aunt's. Eddie grew up in Kensington, so him and I went to the same school, and you know, we weren't like close, like super close friends growing up. We just had really close mutual friends, and we're in the same area. We had some classes together, you know. And I always respected Eddie. You know, he's a savage. Like the dude's an absolute beast. And on top of that, like, you know, as far as a role model, there ain't nobody better out there in athletics. Like the guy's a stand up, pure as they come. Like, you know, just his relationship with his wife Jamie, who's from my area, and they've been dating since like 15. As loyal to each other as ever. They're support each other so much, and then they have a beautiful family. And you know, he's just yeah, Eddie's a great guy. Him and I just bought a property together in Fort Lauderdale as an investment, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, I mean, he's inspired me in different ways. He was supportive through the whole fast too. Eddie's given me a lot of good advice over the years, but I don't know. Comparing myself to him and I are different in a lot of ways too. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just saying that maybe I compare myself to his journey a little bit just because I know more about it, But yeah, UFC's I love MMA. I don't really watch sport, but MMA I do. I love all the intricacies of the sport, and yeah, I just think it's amazing. I love martial arts. But yeah, I don't know.
Very cool. All right, no, that's a good comparison. All right, let's say I forgot to ask a question from my dad here. Papa G, we were talking about earlier, and then we didn't kick off the questions. We'll take one more, and I'm gonna then let Hook tell us when we are gonna select the winner for this 109 phase ticket. So the question from my dad is, you're from New Jersey, and there's a special attitude.
No, I'm from Philadelphia.
I'm sorry, you Philadelphia / New Jersey, yeah. But you've spent a lot of time in New Jersey and Wildwood.
Yeah, I mean South Jersey's right over the bridge. It's a 10-minute again. I mean,
sure. It's crazy because that's where we used to go. Actually, my dad's family's from Philadelphia. We used to go to Cape May and Wild every summer for like 6-7 years. That was where we'd spend our couple weeks in the summer. So I know the area very well. It's a great spot. And he's asking though, is there a special attitude that Jersey / Philly, like that region, right, the East Coast, that they bring to the table, or is it just the way they talk that seems different? I guess my dad's referencing, he's got some experience. My dad loves poker. He loves to play, and he's played with a bunch of.
As far as poker types, or
what did they bring to the table?
I feel like people from the Northeast. I feel like out of everywhere I've played, I feel like the Northeast region have like the most emotional players. Like people seem to get. I don't know, but. I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like a lot of the New Yorkers and New Jersey,
they're passionate.
They're passionate. So almost like actually similar to when I was over in Italy in the San Marino, they're passionate over there too. But yeah, I mean, there's different styles. Like especially when I was going back and forth to California playing to Commerce, it was like chips were flying, and I felt like it's different. But as far as personality, back home, like it just. People are so loyal, man. It's different. Like, they're loud and there's different kind of personality traits that are, you have to get used to when you're dealing with a Philadelphian or New York, New Jersey, I mean, but as far as like, loyalty, and they're the greatest people, like, honestly, like, so, but, and then now living in Texas, I love Texas too. I mean, there's some really amazing people that I never thought that I would, care about so much or get close with, just from being inner city Philadelphia to like Texas,
For sure. No, I think again, the obviously we know the people there. There's a lot of interesting and great people, and I think that's one of the coolest things about poker is you get to kind of develop relationships. I'd say it's like polarizing, right? There's some of the best, greatest people and greatest relationships you meet, and then there's also some stuff you see where it's like, wow, like that's pretty shocking and bad, but I mean that's what it is, and that's just kind of the nature of the game. But all right, let's do gone over 2 hours. We had Nurse Nina come in. We will put the show more again about the Ali cardiology where you did this 14 days.
He's the one that overlooked the entire thing for me. Yeah.
So we'll look at that again. If you guys missed the first part, there's a look at the transformation over the 14-day fast, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, pretty wild. So we covered a lot. Again, Hook has some tournament results, but he is known more for high stakes cash games. We did get a lot of questions. Hopefully Hook can answer some. If we didn't get to him, he'll go through. He's tagged on Twitter there. You guys can give him a follow.
There's one other good one that I saw, but I don't know where it's at now. But I don't know how much time you have left anyway.
Yeah, this is there were some great questions. I think we have gone through a fair amount, but you can see if Hook, you see these, they tag, they're at you on all these. So if you want to scroll through and answer a few afterward as well. But let's do this giveaway, a 109 ticket. I just got to remind everyone, still day 1C of the Party Poker 5 mil is on Sunday. Monday is day 2. and you can get in for as little as $22 phase ticket that gets you into a 44, into a 109, and then into the 530. So the 530 you cannot buy direct. You have to get chips in the 109 phase, and then you have a shot at a 50 mega satellite for a 530. That's actually, I did the 109 into the 530, into the main, into now day 2 on Monday. So huge sweat. Hope you guys get a chance to take a look at that. And in the meantime, we're going to give away this ticket right now. So Hook, you tell me when, and I will choose a winner. Someone's going to get a 109 ticket courtesy of Party Poker. You, me, everyone.
Yeah. I would just say go.
Yep.
All right, go.
There it is. So we are choosing a winner. This is for a 109 phase ticket on Party Poker. That winner is finished, and I His a Grind, I think is the name. I His a Grind. So I don't think they've won before. They haven't. That's awesome. We'll message them. And Hook, thank you so much. This was definitely a treat. Hopefully we'll do it again, and somewhere, after a big celebration,
maybe this summer you can come by the Jersey Shore. I'll take you in Philly. We get some cheesesteaks and do something together live or whatever. Go over more about some things that we didn't really get deep into. It'd be fun. I got plenty more stories of some of the DJ moments that you know about, and it'd be fun.
For sure, we will do that. And yeah, it's good to come back full circle. I think we covered a lot, but again, I've had multiple guests. Bill, been on a few times. Love to have you back on in the future. And this was podcast number 147. We are going to
always dropping wisdom, man. You can't go wrong with just having Bill around you or getting Bill's opinion or anything. It's watching this podcast. He just drops so much wisdom, man. And,
listen, Bill's one of the most. He is. He's just super interesting. I think it's safe to say you've played a lot with him now. You've gotten to know him very well. I mean, his sort of knowledge and understanding, just how he thinks about life and time. The book, which I know you bought a lot of copies, I did as well. Kind of promoting it, spreading it. That idea. I think it's like, again, a great reminder of how everything in life works, and it's just something I highly recommend. Have you given those away? I know you bought a lot. Did you have you used all those yet, or do you still have some copies?
No, I've given a lot of them away. I mean, I still have a couple copies here. But yeah, I mean, the dude's done everything, huh? Like, and whatever he puts his mind to, he crushes. And I mean, he's just someone that I look up to too. He's just he's a great guy. So sure. And inspirational. He's from inner city New Jersey. I think he's I'm not even not Newark. One of the
I think it's Jersey City.
Jersey City. He's from Jersey City. That's right. So he grew up in semi-humble beginnings, and just went and worked his ass off, and just probably went through a lot of hard times and had to jump some hurdles. And he talks about being a limo driver, this and that, and it's just inspiring to see that. So
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, listen, Hook's got his emote on the channel. I'm going to be live on Monday, probably the next few days as well. Going to be on the Party Poker channel right now for the community knockout event. So I'm going to be doing some commentary. But Hook, thank you very much. Appreciate the time. Definitely learned a lot. The fast was super interesting. I was betting on you as well. And yeah, man, I know that was very, very big accomplishment.
Yeah, that helped too. Like you having money on it and other friends that bet on me, I couldn't fail. Right. Like it's more pressure, and I feel it's way easier to be accountable when someone else is relying on your results in something, which is weird. I wish I could channel that more into everyday things that there's no outside influence. But yeah, I mean, whenever I don't feel a certain way, or I don't feel motivated, or I don't feel that drive, just throw some David Goggins on. He'll get you going.
For sure. All right. Well, I'm going to end this. And again, I'll be live soon, guys. Thank you so much. That was podcast number 147. Chalie Hook, not to be confused with Charlie. Chalie, Charles Hook in the building. Check him out. Give him a follow on Twitter, and he will try to answer your questions. And then Hook, I'm sure we'll catch up very soon.
Yeah, one last thing. So Dr. Nadir Ali is going to put together a report with all the metrics from my sleep, body composition, blood work, EKG, everything. And then I'm going to add some of the things that went through my mind daily. He's going to put together a report, and I think it's getting published in a medical journal. But once it's done, I'll send it to you so you can send it out. And then if anyone has any questions, they can always just, ask me through Instagram inbox or, tweet at me or whatever. And I'll try and get back to them and answer any question about poker or the fast.
For sure. All right. Well, again, yeah, thanks, man. This was great. Congratulations. This has been quite a ride, and amazing to see everything going so well. And you are definitely, again, just like a testament to hard work, success, and pushing through. So very, very cool. And I'm glad we got to do the podcast, and hopefully we get to catch up again very, very soon in person. So
yeah.
Cheers.
Sounds good, bro. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, guys. That was Charles Hook, and I will see you on very soon online on Twitch for the Party Poker TV channel. Cheers.
All right, bro.